We all know that over-tourism is a massive problem in certain areas in Japan. Take your Tokyos, your Osakas, look at Kyoto, pretty damn crowded. But sometimes in areas you least suspect, over-tourism is a massive problem. Take Kamakura. Kamakura is a beautiful beach city tucked away in Kanagawa Prefecture. And it's interesting as well because the overall prefecture of Kanagawa isn't suffering the horrors of over-tourism. It only appears to be Kamakura. And what is the reason for this over-tourism? Well, it's anime. The main trouble spot seems to be Kamakura Kokomae Eki, also known as a Kamakura High School Mai station, and the railway that seems to be getting most of the tourism. But that'll be the Enoshima Electric Railway, or the Enoshima Denkiden. Now, why the hell is an electric railway and a station in front of a school getting so much damn international foot traffic? Any basketball fans in the crowd? Well, the seaside crossing became internationally famous because of one hit anime, and that's Slam Dunk. And if you've never seen Slam Dunk, you could be missing out. I personally don't know. I've never seen Slam Dunk. I'm a Kuroko no Basuke man myself. The ocean views, the train crossing. Apparently there's some famous scene from the anime that people are trying to recreate by heading to the station. So if anything, this station has become some kind of an anime pilgrimage site, which is just terrible for the station. And I know what you're thinking. People coming to the station to take some photos from an anime shouldn't cause that much foot traffic, should it? Need I remind you of the Lawson that you could see Mount Fuji by, and 1 billion people would show up every day to take a photo of a convenience store and an active volcano? You don't know what's going to cause mass panic in certain areas. And to be fair, if people were coming to Kamakura Kokomai station, snapping some photos, and then heading to other parts of Kamakura to enjoy the rest of their day, it wouldn't be as bad. The issue is, people are lingering for a frightfully long time. Lingering crowds are creating massive issues as this little station isn't built to deal with such a massive influx of visitors at once. And it's not just the lingering crowds. These lingering crowds bring with them trash. And as we know, Japan is famous for not having any damn trash cans. And while it has got better in the last few years, there's still not a lot of trash cans when you get to beachside areas. And that's mostly because, you know, you're meant to bring the trash home with you. However, in Kamakura Kokomai station, there's not really that many trash cans for people to use, so internationals are, of course, leaving their trash everywhere. If the bulk of the problem was trash and lingering tourists, this wouldn't be much of a story. However, it's quickly become a safety issue. These international individuals are ignoring basic road safety laws to run into oncoming traffic so they can snap the perfect slam dunk photo to take home as a little souvenir. People who are driving to the location instead of taking the train are parking their cars illegally on the roads, leaving their trash in random places around the streets, and also just being a general nuisance and also a safety issue for those living and trying to travel in the area. This is kind of insane. This area isn't built to deal with such a massive influx of tourists. This is a beach town. Go to the beach, check out the shopping street, go and see the big sea candle thingy. This town isn't built for large gatherings around one tiny station in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Guys, get your shit together. Between September the 13th and 16th, 2025, 10,000 international tourists gathered at the Slam Dunk railway station. It is believed that most of these international individuals are also from China because Slam Dunk is extremely popular in China. And the story seemingly gets worse from here. It's not just the lingering tourists, it's not just them leaving trash everywhere and being a nuisance and also being a kind of a safety risk. They're also just doing straight up vandalism. Kamakura Kokomai station was in a state of disrepair as international tourists decided, do you know what would be a good idea? Let's vandalize the bathrooms. Now, the word vandalizing was used, but it feels more like stupid people doing stupid things, as the bathroom was closed down for an extended period of time because people decided to flush random objects down the toilet. I don't understand why they've done that, but in my headcanon, some idiot has gone, I can't find a trash can, but there's a toilet. Next best thing? And then began to flush their trash down the toilet. Well, either way, the toilet was closed down from April till August 2025, and then even when the bathroom did reopen, they had to put a security guard outside of the bathroom to make sure people weren't using the bathroom in ways that would cause it to break down again. How badly do you have to mess up for prison rules to be enacted in a station bathroom, they also had to implement a time that the bathroom could be used. The bathroom is now only available from 10 AM to 6 PM. So if you need to take a piss at 9:50 in the morning, you better fucking hold it. Sadly though, this is the closest station to the famous Slam Dunk Train Ocean View basketball site, at only 100 meters away. So as long as Slam Dunk have fans that want to make their anime pilgrimage to this site, this station is going to be assaulted. But sadly, the nonsense around this Slam Dunk site hasn't been isolated to the Slam Dunk site. It's starting to spread. The local temple, Ken Shoji Temple, is also facing some issues caused by over-tourism. The head priest of the temple was saying that as tourism has increased in the area, the manners of the tourists visiting the area has gotten worse and worse. So bad, the temple had to actually instigate certain signs in the area to stop tourists trespassing onto the temple. A do not enter and staff only sign was placed in the temple grounds, and also a do not litter sign. These signs were placed up in 10 different languages, including English, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Thai, and about 5 others. Now, all of this over-tourism nonsense did kind of annoy the priest. When it comes down to it, people trampling onto the temple, using the graveyard wash buckets to wash sand off their feet and shoes is pretty disrespectful. But it's not in the range of let's build a big wall to kick out the tourists from the temple. However, some of these visitors have taken their actions a little bit too far. With the bathroom at Kamakura Kokomai station being closed down, public urination began to be an issue. Now, when I say public urination, we're all thinking the same thing. Someone cocking up their leg, whipping out their dick, and pissing all over the streets and or trees. However, it's worse than you think. Some of these international visitors have decided the bushes by the sacred temple is the perfect place to piss. That's right, you heard me correctly. The sacred ground of the temple, that is where they decided to piss. We're not dealing with the wisest of individuals. We're dealing with people who want to be cursed. The priest was saying that these internationals don't realize that the temple is a sacred place. I'm saying that they do realize it's a sacred place. They're just stupid. And if it stopped at pissing, that's a crazy thing to say, because like already pissing is like, we're right there. What's next? Shitting? Literally, that's the next stage. It only gets worse. Some drivers going through the area, both internationals and domestic one could assume, have decided to leave just a little present from their time visiting Kamakura. A present they like to call golden bottles. Indeed, these are bottles just brimming with piss that people have left around the temple grounds, around different areas in Kamakura. A little parting gift to the area to say, you know, thanks for the fun times. And then they fucked off back to Tokyo, I can only assume. This is pretty fucking disgusting. What are you, Amazon drivers? Get your shit together. Kamakura officials also did mention that this was a massive problem in the area. Public urination, golden bottles being left around, and some residents even commented that the situation is becoming untenable and they don't want to live in Kamakura anymore. Because these golden bottles weren't just being left around the temple or around the Slam Dunk pilgrimage site. It seems a certain few special brain-dead individuals decided these bottles should also be left in residential areas. We gotta start some kind of piss Interpol, get every single piss bottle DNA tested, work out who the pissy boys are, and get them fined. And we'll make the fine fair. Every 50 milliliters of piss, that's a 50,000 yen fine, boy. And crowdfunding for Piss Interpol does sound insane, but it wasn't too far off what Kamakura actually decided to do. The crowdfunding thing is similar. The Piss Interpol thing is, that's a genius idea that I gotta copyright that as soon as possible. Anyway, here's the plan.
Money.
The Kamakura government had 2 genius plans. Now, plan A started in 2024. Step 1, set up a camera to catch out any naughty international tourists doing any sort of funny business in the area. The problem is that was the extent of their plan. Set camera up, catch people doing bad thing, and then nothing actually happened. There was no consequence to being caught on camera pissing on the temple, or shitting on the street, or damaging a toilet, or being a safety concern in the slam dunk pilgrimage area. All they actually did was set up a camera. It's very security theater, set up a threat in the hopes that threat works. However, with zero consequences, nothing actually happened. This is a pretty stupid plan. They might as well have just set up a life-size cutout of Mr. Bean in the area. It would have cost less money and honestly probably been more of a threat than a security camera of no consequences. The Kamakura government put their heads together and worked out a brand new plan. Money. Money was essentially the plan, but it wasn't about throwing money at the problem. It was about collecting enough money to build permanent infrastructure in the area to do crowd control. Because at the moment, the Kamakura government had a bunch of temporary things set up in the area to try to curb the crowd around the pilgrimage site. We're talking temporary fences, temporary signs, temporary security guards. All these things needed to be made permanent in order to make this site an actual place that can handle the influx of tourists that they're getting. To raise this money, the Kamakura government turned to the government funding program known as Furusato Noze, or the hometown tax program. The hometown tax program seems very confusing, mostly because it's very confusing. But what generally happens is that if you're living in Tokyo and paying your taxes in Tokyo, you can decide to pay a section of your taxes to another part of Japan, and in return, and to say thank you for paying some of your taxes to town X, they'll give you a little special gift. For example, I'm living in Tokyo. If I decide I'm going to pay Gorman of my taxes to Hokkaido, as thanks for paying some of my taxes to Hokkaido, they will send me some Hokkaido milk, or Hokkaido cheese, or Hokkaido beef. And you can actually choose what item you want. There's a whole bunch of sites set up to do Furusato Noze. It's actually a lot simpler than you think it's going to be. However, Kamakura had a genius idea for how they were going to run their Furusato Noze. People could pay part of their tax to Kamakura City, and in return, you get nothing. That's right, absolutely nothing. Apart from the small spark in your heart knowing that you've paid some money for a good cause. And they weren't asking for a whole lot. Donations started at 2,000 yen, and they were hoping to raise 3.5 million yen. But of course, time is finite. They can't just have the campaign running indefinitely in the hopes that eventually they make the money. So from October 10th, 2025, all the way up until January 7th, 2026, they had to try and raise 3.5 million yen from purely donations. But once they raise this 3.5 million yen, where is it gonna go? Now, I alluded to it before that some of the unpermanent sites will then become permanent, but what is actually going to become permanent? Well, to start, salaries. Whose salaries? Security officers. They had temporary security officers showing up at site just to make sure the flow of the crowds was moving safely and people weren't causing a risk to themselves or locals in the area. These salaries up until this point was being paid out of the tax money from those living and working in Kamakura, and the city wanted to offset some of that financial burden onto, I guess, the rest of Japan. But it's not just the salaries of the security officers, there's also temporary fencings and signs that have been set up, but these signs aren't enough. The station needs new permanent signage and new permanent fencing to get internationals from the station to the pilgrimage site as safely as possible. Up until now, the sidewalk and the road were completely open, meaning large swaths of people, when they leave the station, will start spilling onto the road, creating safety issues for cars and bikes trying to get to work and the ocean. Someone working for the tourism division in Kamakura's local office was quoted in saying, "They want to show how local governments can manage tourism sustainably through shared support." The mayor of Kamakura also came out with a very long statement about harmony and support and how he hopes that, the rest of Japan will work together in giving them 3.5 million yen to build the fences and signs and such that they need to, curb over-tourism in the area. Personally, I think their plan is bad. Whether the plan works or not, I'm always in the mindset that problems caused by over-tourism should be paid for or handled by the internationals coming to the country, especially now that the yen is such dog shit, A donation box in Kamakura Kokomai Eki would be a great way to start, but then after that, some kind of a ticketing system set up for people trying to get to the area would make more sense. This is clearly a big anime pilgrimage spot. Maybe build some additional barriers for entry. Nothing crazy, nothing expensive. A couple hundred yen per person. Time slots in the areas that are the most famous in the anime. Just to one, get the crowd moving in and out. And two, raise some money to build some actual fences and signs and equipment and things in the area to get people moving in and out a little bit more safely. And this supposed fee should be charged to anyone who's not a Kamakura resident. And it's very important to say Kamakura resident and not just an international person coming to Japan, because a lot of domestic tourists also come down to Kamakura to visit the Slam Dunk pilgrimage spot. Remember, Slam Dunk was also a very popular anime in Japan. And it's not just anime tourism, it's not just the straight-laced otaku. The densha otaku, or train nerds, are also coming to the area quite often to snap photos of the train itself. And these train nerds don't care that the train was in the anime, they don't give a shit about that. They're here for the pure love of the game, so they should be charged as well. If anything, they should be charged extra. Train nerds are fucking insane. Side note, you ever want to have like a really interesting time, look up like train nerds in Japan and how they've like stopped trains from running before. These people have like gone onto the tracks to take photos of trains. They're like, they've got to screw loose some of these boys. Like it's some serious stuff. It's weird. But how did the crowdfunding go? Oh, Kamakura. The crowdfunding did not go well to start. 6 days after launch, only one person had donated to the crowdfunding campaign. And they donated pretty heavily, 10,000 Japanese yen. It's not bad at all. However, it's very off their target of 3.5 million yen. At that time, they only had 85 days left to hit their target of 3.5 million yen. So the officials working in Kamakura remembered, the internet exists. We should probably be promoting our campaign on the internet. And they did exactly that. They started promoting the campaign through social media and local networks, with an official exclaiming that they just have to keep doubling down and making people aware of the importance of getting over tourism in their area of Kamakura curbed as quickly as possible. I mean, to be fair, their efforts did pay off. November 1st, 2025, they had raised a lot more money. 468,000 yen. That's pretty damn impressive. That's 13% to their goal. And yeah, it's not halfway there. They still had 3.5 million yen to raise, but it's better than a measly 10,000 yen they had raised previously. I think that at this stage, people already realized how bad the over-tourism situation in Kamakura was. People are very much aware of how bad the situation is in certain areas. However, when it comes to complaining about how bad the situation is, and actually making strives to fixing the problem or some kind of solution to solve the issues, the level of the mic is very different. When it comes to yelling about the problem, that mic is on full blast. People are on Twitter, Instagram, the news, the fucking Prime Minister of Japan is screaming about it. Oh, the tourists, oh, the over-tourism, woe is me, what is there to be done? But once a plan starts cooking, suddenly, people are quiet. And I think Kamakura did the correct thing in boosting their message of, hey, listen, we have a solution. We're trying to solve this problem. We just need 3.5 million yen. So if you can hand some of that over, we'll show you what we can do. And show them they kind of did. The cutoff date for this crowdfunding was January 7th, 2026. And you know what? It might surprise you, but they actually managed to raise the 3.5 million yen they needed to build the infrastructure in the Slam Dunk pilgrimage area. It's actually impressive. They raised 100.6% of the funding they needed. That's 3.5 million yen plus like a couple 100,000 yen in the pot to spare. So that's it, right? Problem solved, everything's better, the structure's gone up, everyone's having a better time, over-tourism is defeated? No. Not really, because how these things normally work is things get a little bit bad before they get better. Now that Kamakura have the money to build the infrastructure, they now have to build the infrastructure, which means for a period of time, it's going to be very difficult for people to move around the area as construction will be happening. Hopefully this construction finishes as quickly as possible and some kind of normalcy can return to the area of Kamakura. It's not just the Slam Dunk pilgrimage site. Kamakura has worked really hard to make the area of Kamakura tourist friendly, but also an easy place for locals to live and work. That famous Kamakura train, yeah, it's beautiful, people want to ride it, but it's also a local commuter train, which means locals living and working in the area need to take that train to school, to work, for outings, for shopping, and it's become a lot more difficult with the influx of tourists there. But Kamakura had a really good idea for this. They implemented some kind of a system where if you're a resident living in the area, there are special resident-only trains where during rush hour, only residents are allowed to ride certain trains at certain times. And that's really curbed how bad it's been for some of the locals living in the area. Locals are of course still complaining about the amount of domestic and international tourists in the area, but luckily the Kamakura government has realized there is a problem and are doing all they can to sort of fix it before it gets too insane. So you gotta give credit where credit is due. Do you think Kamakura handled this over-tourism problem in the correct way? How would you solve the slam dunk pilgrimage problem? I'm still saying ticket system. I'm saying big wall, ticket system. That's the only way you're allowed to see the slam dunk pilgrimage site. But if you have a better or more entertaining way, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to read them all. And if you have more time, I made a general video about over-tourism in Japan. Check it out. It's a pretty good deep dive about how Japan isn't actually struggling that bad from over-tourism. Let me know what you think. And until then, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.